There are over 15 characters that have only appeared once in Bluey, and today we're gonna go over what happened to every single one of them. And now, we have to start this off by mentioning Robert Irwin, or I mean Alfie. He only shows up in one episode, The Quiet Game, but he leaves a bigger impact than most one-offs ever get. He's the new kid working at the local toy shop. He's rocking his purple uniform, name badge, and the kind of terrified enthusiasm that only comes with someone who's on their first day. And if I didn't mention it already, he's voiced by Robert Irwin, which is the perfect casting because Alfie has big, trying his absolute best energy. And if you know anything about Steve and Robert Irwin, you know they're some true blue Australian legends who are always trying their best. He gets dropped off at the toy store by his mum, who basically tells him to just be helpful. And then immediately the universe decides to test him by sending him Bandit. Bandit asks for something called a moon sprinkler, which obviously does not exist. So Alfie tries to look for it anyway because he's committed to doing his job properly. I find this just so awesome because even though it's his first day, he clearly wants to help out. Visually, Alfie's a tan and brown dog with freckles and a simple uniform. His breed, I'm pretty sure, is a dingo, which if you're unaware is a non-domesticated dog that calls Australia home. And if you ask me, that's extremely fitting for a character played by Robert Irwin. And what's more, he's one of the rare Bluey characters who actually wears clothes because it's a part of his job. He doesn't appear again in the main series, but someone who looks like him does pop up in the sign, but we never get any confirmation whether this is actually him or not. It's a short role that leaves a big impression, and it's one of my favorite Bluey moments hands down. Next, we'll look at a character who's known only as Grumpy Pug or Old Pug. This lady appears in Granny Mobile and is just generally a very disliked character because of how mean and rude she is. The moment she appears at Dorian's garage sale, she's already starting beef. She bumps a table and immediately starts yelling at them, saying she could have broken her leg. All I'm saying is despite how much old people yarn about respect, they're usually the most disrespectful ones. After that, she spots the Granny Mobile for sale, and this is where she meets her natural predator, Muffin Healer, who is currently in full Granny mode. This transforms her into a tiny, unhinged howitzer tank. The old pug wants a bargain, and Muffin wants blood. This is a fated matchup. Before things get too heated, Bandit tries to step in, but he gets hit with a handbag and called fat. Doreen tries to negotiate, but she gets insulted, and then Muffin steps up, and suddenly the old pug realizes she's out here playing checkers while Muffin is playing whatever games involve shouting, arguing, and raising a price up out of pure spite. Somehow, through all of this, Muffin bullies her way into having $1,200 paid for the scooter. The grumpy old hag hands over the $1 and drives away in defeat. And that's it. We never see this character again. Next up is Cherry, who we first meet in the episode Tradies. In this episode, Bluey and Bingo are spying on the Tradies, and she appears to be the wife or girlfriend of Chippy. She then pops up again as a background character during Frisky and Radley's wedding. She and Chippy appear to be arguing, but later they look fine. There are a lot of characters who pop up again on the sign as cameos, but we'll talk about that later. Cherry isn't really that important of a character, and she technically has 2 appearances, but still she feels like a one-time character. Next up is Mrs. Terrier, the mum of the 3 little gremlins known as the Terriers. And honestly, this poor lady seems to be holding on by a thread. She's a single mother with triplets and somehow keeps up with life. It's honestly a real inspiration. We meet her in TV Shop. She drives a 4-wheel drive with some stickers of her and her boys on the back and a number plate that, funnily enough, says Terrier. While she's trying to keep her sanity together at the shop, she runs into Cornelius, Winton's dad, who is also a single father, and the 2 of them appear to hit it off. By the time we get to, once again, the sign, we meet her for her second and final appearance. In this episode, the whole thing between her and Cornelius is pretty much confirmed. Cornelius sells his house, and Mrs. Terrier and the boys hop in the car with him. They drive off and start whatever new life they've decided on. And that's pretty much Mrs. Terrier in a nutshell. She's a tired mother trying to buy makeup. Her kids are lovable menaces, and she somehow ends up in a new relationship with a guy so unfortunately named Cornelius. Up next are the tradies from the episode, well, You guessed it, tradies. It opens with Bluey and Bingo drawing on the driveway, humming away, when a white truck pulls in. Out hops Sparky, a big bull mastiff tradie. Before they can process that, a green car rolls up with electronic music. Out steps Chippy, plus a woman who drops him off without even looking at him. We then cut to the backyard where Chili's chatting to the tradies about the job. Bluey and Bingo hide under the house, convinced these guys are up to something. Sparky tells Chili the job will take 3 or 4 days, which immediately makes Bluey suspicious. The girls watch as Chippy sprays bright red paint on the grass, and they act like that proves he's dangerous. They call Chili over and ask who these strangers are and why they're still painting the yard. Chili explains they are tradies putting in a fish pond. He then tells the girls to keep an eye on them. In the yard, Sparky chats endlessly about his boat while Chippy keeps checking his phone. Sparky seems to really hate this, and the girls report it back to Chili, who also seems to really hate it. Bluey decides both tradies are enemies, and Chippy's phone must be a part of the plot, so they spy harder. Chippy keeps texting, Sparky keeps yelling at him, and eventually Chippy slips away to make a phone call. Bluey rolls up behind him with her toy car to listen in. He's talking to Cherry, who we covered earlier. An ice cream truck pulls in, and Sparky buys too. Chippy immediately takes another phone call from Cherry, so Sparky ends up giving the spare to Bingo. Sitting together, Sparky figures out the girls have been spying and tells them Cherry isn't Chippy's enemy, just someone he's trying to make up with. The job continues. The girls secretly help Sparky find a missing tape measure. Day flips to day as the pond comes together. Finally, it's finished. The girls run over and love it. Chili is relieved it actually got done in 3 days. And for the most part, this is all we see of these two characters. Like a lot of these one-time characters though, they also get a guest appearance in The Sign, but this reigns true for almost every character in the series. While we're on the topic of the episode tradies, it also gives us one other one-time character who's mentioned only in this episode. Her name is Jules, and she's apparently the wife of Sparky. He referred to her only as me missus, and that's all we know of her. Next up is a character who shows up briefly just 3 times. Her name's Winnie, and she shows up in Cafe. She basically speedruns becoming Bluey's new best mate. She's a chocolate lab, super friendly, and instantly clicks with Bluey the second they both show up at the playground at the crack of dawn. They start playing Cafe, drag their dads into it, and suddenly this becomes a whole morning routine. Winnie keeps inviting Bluey over for breakfast, and both dads keep pretending they're too busy. But over a few days, you can literally see Fido and Bandit warming up to each other. By the time Bingo joins in, Winnie's already pointing out that her dad and Bandit are basically becoming besties. Then one morning, Winnie arrives late, panics that she's missed her friends, and gets hit with the worst news ever. The healers were just about to head home, but Bandit fixes it by inviting Winnie and Fido to join them for breakfast, giving her the happiest yes moment of her life. She's friendly, open, and just genuinely good at making people feel included. That's her only real role. But like what feels like every other character ever, she also gets her cameo in The Sign and appears briefly in Curry Quest. Next up is this unnamed surfer. They are basically the coolest adult Bluey's ever met. She shows up mainly in the beach, and the moment she glides in with that board, Bluey looks at her like she's meeting a real-life sea goddess. She's a rough collie with perfect beach hair and a really chill vibe. She drops one of the coolest lines in the whole show, telling Bluey her footprints only last a day, which to me instantly makes her the Master Roshi of the Bluey world. Then she just paddles off like it's nothing. And fun fact, she's voiced by actual 7-time world champion surfer Lane Beachley. So yeah, she is pretty cool. And next is Rusty's dad. He's one of those characters who say a lot without ever really needing to. He first pops up in Army, which opens with a little fidgety Jack Russell named Jack. From the moment he's introduced, he can't sit still. He's fidgeting, bouncing, forgetting everything. His hat, his lunch, anything he could forget, he forgets. His mum's trying to talk to him about school, but he's already staring out of the window. His dad's doing his best to help, but even then his little sister calls him out for not following instructions. Jack doesn't understand why he struggles, he just knows something feels off. When he finally gets to Calypso's school, Calypso gently pairs him with another kid, a red kelpie named Rusty. Rusty's the complete opposite. He's focused and literally in the middle of playing Army when Jack walks up. And the second Jack asks to join, Rusty goes full drill sergeant, telling Jack to fall into line. And the craziest part about all of this? It works. For the first time, Jack is focused. After that, Rusty starts training with him properly. Code names, push-ups, hand signals, he's taking it seriously seriously, but in a way that motivates Jack, not embarrasses him. When Jack admits he struggles with remembering words and numbers, Rusty just says, well, you better get good if you want to be in the army. It's not harsh, it's exactly the push Jack needed. Then Rusty brings up his dad. He's in the army too. He's out on patrol, and Rusty says when he comes home, he's bringing me condensed milk. It's such a small line, but you can tell how much impact Rusty's dad has. Later the boys face their mission, which is catching a bush turkey. They pretend to call in a helicopter rescue, and Jack has to remember their location's codename. He hesitates, but then nails it. Tango 7. Rusty smiles, gives him a thumbs up, and you can almost see how proud he is. By the end, Jack's not the kid who forgets things anymore. He's Private Russell. Rusty hands him a bottle of condensed milk. A small gift, but it means everything. When Jack gets home, his mum is obviously very confused. She asked him where he got the condensed milk from, and Jack tells her that Rusty gave it to him. Then the scene cuts. Rusty running into his dad's arms. The man he's been talking about the whole time is finally home. And that is Rusty's dad. He was really driving the lesson behind this episode, which is dealing with kids with ADHD or other attentive disorders. He's the kind of character who leaves a massive impact in just a few lines, and it would make sense for him to become a recurring figure, but then he disappears completely. That's the last we see of someone who I thought would play a massive role. Rusty's dad does return for a second, more involved appearance in the episode Cricket, which builds on his family life and gives us another glimpse of his home dynamic. And if you haven't watched the episode Cricket, I do highly recommend it. It gives us way more not only on Rusty, but his dad. In the episode, we learn that Rusty is apparently a cricket god, and we just generally get way more involved with some of the series' most loved side characters. And lastly, this can't be a one-off character video without bringing up Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc was different from your normal Bluey character. He didn't speak English and only appeared for one episode in season 1, episode 43. This is the episode Camping, and it starts off in total chaos. Bluey's pretending Muffin's caravan is a mansion, and Muffin's screaming about cups and frying pans and whatnot. It's mayhem until Bluey and Bingo run outside and Chili swoops in saying they haven't bathed in 3 days. She grabs Bingo, leaves Bluey behind, and in that moment, Bluey does what any self-respecting evicted child would do. She runs off to start a new life in the woods. And that's where she meets Jean-Luc, a French kid who walks into the show like he owns the place. He doesn't speak a single word of English, and Bluey doesn't understand him one bit. But somehow, they click instantly. They start playing together and getting into all sorts of mischief, including hunting a boar, which is literally just Bandit making boar noises into a bucket. The next morning, they meet again by the stream. They rebuild their house, make plans, and come up with new traps to catch Bandit. Bluey and Jean-Luc have such great chemistry together despite not understanding a thing. And regardless of how much fun they're having, you can kind of feel the episode building towards a bittersweet ending. Like, you know something is about to happen, and that is exactly what happens. The very next morning, Jean-Luc is just gone. We don't really get an answer or any notice. He just up and leaves. She hangs around the place they first met, but he doesn't show up. Afterwards, she asks her mum why he had to leave, and Chili tells us that sometimes people from our lives just disappear. We see some time pass. Bluey gets older and is hanging out reading a book under the tree where her and Jean-Luc used to play. It's taller, stronger, and just as she looks up, Jean-Luc walks out of the woods. He smiles and says, "Hello, Bluey." This is arguably my favorite moment from the entire show. But do you want to know the crazy part? That's it. That's the last time we ever see him. Jean-Luc and his family were only in town for that one camping trip, but they never returned. And that's how we got one of the most unforgettable friendships in Bluey and had it turned into one of its most forgotten characters. But with that said, that's all I have for today. So as always, cheers.